All right, I'm back after a couple game absence. One because I was watching the Patriots debacle during the Celtics win over the Bulls, and two because basically I forgot the Celtics were playing at 12:30 on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So yeah, no post game for that because I completely forgot. I did watch the game, and the Celtics got a win, so that was good, but. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about a Celtics loss. And no, I'm not avoiding doing the wins. Come on, don't think that. That's not true. They just happened to lose this game that I returned for, and it wasn't too much of a surprise because one, you didn't have Rob Williams or Marcus Smart tonight. Two, you were playing a pretty good Charlotte Hornets team, and three, your stars, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, combined for 2 of 18 from 3 tonight. Virtually impossible to win a game that way. I'm not saying make miss league. I'm saying the Celtics suck at shooting. Nobody should be surprised. They're not a good team. They shouldn't be surprised when they lose. Final score of this one, by the way, 111 to 102. The Hornets win. And yeah, Celtics back to 500. As I've told you all season long, they're going to just consistently hover around this exact spot. Maybe they'll go a game up, 2 games up, 3 games up, but then they'll fall back to 2 games below, 3 games below, and then water finds its level right around 500. That's just what they are. They're not going to improve unless there's a major move made at the trade deadline. We're going to talk about the trade they made in a second. Um, but this is, again, as I've said many times, the worst place to be in the NBA. You'd rather be terrible and have an awful record than a 500 record. This is the worst place to be in terms of trying to get out of this spot and try to get to the level where you're competing for a championship. Right now, being a 500 team and which is the definition of mediocre, is it's so hard to get out of that because you don't get a good enough pick to be able to get a transformational enough player, and the Celtics haven't shown that nearly adept enough at drafting in the middle of the first round to be able to find that sort of diamond in the rough. And you're also obviously not even close to being able to compete with the Nets and the Bucks and the Warriors and the Heat and the Suns of the world. So you're not competing for a championship. Uh, it's just a horrible, horrible spot to be in, and that's exactly where the Celtics find themselves in. And so far, they've done nothing to try to get themselves out of that hole, which is frustrating. But before I get into the trade that happened, let's talk about this game and first get into the box score. Again, final score 111 to 102. The Hornets win in Boston. Celtics fall now to 23 and 23, 15 and 9 at home. Hornets improve to an impressive 25 and 20. Impressive because they're never really good. So good for the Hornets, who have a very fun team, by the way. Really enjoy watching them play. Between LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges and Terry Rozier, those are 3 highly entertaining basketball players. They all played very well tonight. Ball's energy and playmaking is infectious. He makes players around him better, something that I think Tatum and Brown have really struggled to do. This is just his second year, and you can already see how much of an impact he's had on somebody like Miles Bridges' game. He really opens things up for him. Kelly Oubre looks like he's having a lot of fun playing with him too. He's another guy who had a good game against the Celtics tonight. He had 18 off the bench. A good player who maybe wasn't a great fit last year in Golden State, but playing with LaMelo Ball is suddenly going to be a very desirable thing, I think, for free agents. And he's as advertised. He's like a one of one, very unique player, deceptively athletic, good shooter. Unlike his brother, who took a while to learn, he came in right away and is a good 3-point shooter. Plays with a ton of energy, really great handle, one of the best passers in the league. Very good at rebounding for his position, as advertised. He's a tremendous player. He did have 8 turnovers tonight, which is way too high, but really, really fun player to watch, and is going to be a really, really good all-star caliber player for many, many years to come. So Charlotte's got a good one. They have a good foundation of a team. I like what Charlotte has. I would definitely trade the Celtics roster for the Hornets roster straight up. Maybe that makes me crazy, but I see this as a team on the rise and a team that can attract free agents potentially because of their connection with Jordan Brand and Michael Jordan, obviously, and because I think LaMelo Ball is going to be one of those stars that people want to play with because he makes he gets the most, he'll get the most out of you. He's going to continue to improve as a playmaker. Um, so let's go into the Celtics starting lineup tonight. Grant Williams, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Dennis Schroeder, Jaylen Brown, Schroeder, and Williams in for the absent Rob Williams, who's still celebrating the birth of his child. Congratulations to Rob Williams. No problem there with him missing tonight. Marcus Smart still in the health and safety protocols, I believe. So yeah, Grant, Tatum, Horford, Schroeder, Brown. Grant, 25 minutes, 2 of 6 from the floor, 2 of 5 from three, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 6 points, 5 fouls. Not an impressive performance from Grant in the starting lineup, who's been not great when he started, very inconsistent, at the very least. Too many fouls, looked a little too slow defensively, had a tough time with the speed and athleticism that the Hornets possessed, and was forced to foul, and that's sort of Grant's biggest flaw is he's just not very fast or athletic, and that sort of reared its head tonight. Jason Tatum, horrible, horrible night for him. 35 minutes, 5 of 19 from the floor, 0 of 7 from three, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 5 fouls for him as well, 3 turnovers, and just 12 points. Just horrible shooting night for Tatum. Unfortunately, that was a big part of his early season, and I hope this isn't become a trend again because the Celtics, I mean, they can't win games when he shoots like that. Um, the 5 fouls were, sometimes that happens, not great, but I think that's sort of an anomaly. The troubling statistic for me was only 3 free throw attempts because when your shot's not going down, I don't know how many times we've said this, a million. It seems like when your shot's not going down, you need to attack the basket. And the Hornets don't have great rim protectors on their team by any sense. I mean, Miles Plumlee is their starting center. He's certainly not a rim protector. Oubre Jr., he's a slasher. He's a pretty good shot blocker for his position, but not somebody that should threaten Tatum. Same with PJ Washington, but Tatum just did not take the ball to the basket nearly enough tonight. And the Celtics suffered because of it. Just horrible shooting night for him. Al Horford, 32 minutes for him, 5 of 7 from the floor, 2 of 4 from three, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 13 points. I thought Al had a really good game. Nice double double. One of the better Celtics on the floor tonight. He's had a couple of good games in a row after having about a month and a half where he's been terrible. So, good game for Horford tonight. Schroeder, 37 minutes. I thought he was the best player for the Celtics tonight, without a doubt. 9 of 16 from the floor, 5 of 8 from three. So, good night shooting the three ball. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 24 points for Dennis Schroeder, filling in at the starting point guard spot. As he continues to also be very, very inconsistent. But as someone also who I think is likely to be traded. Though I've more enjoyed than not enjoyed his stint as a Celtic. Jaylen Brown, 38 minutes, 9 of 20 from the floor, which looks good. And then you go to his 3 point shooting, 2 of 11, not good. 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Again, really wanted to see him attack the basket more. He did not do that. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 21 points. Not a horrible game other than shooting from three, but not enough, especially with Tatum only scoring 12. For Brown to only have 21 wasn't going to get the job done for the Celtics. On the bench tonight, Ennis Freedom played 19 minutes. He had 5 points and 3 rebounds and a block. Peyton Pritchard, 11 minutes, 0 of 2 from the floor. They were both 3 point attempts. He didn't score. He did have 4 assists, though, and I thought he moved the ball pretty well when he was in there. I think you're going to be seeing a lot more minutes for Peyton Pritchard as the trade deadline approaches and passes, again, because I don't think Schroeder is long for this team. So we'll see what Pritchard is really capable of, which is sort of all I've been asking. But uh, tonight, he did some things that were good, moved the ball around, didn't shoot the ball particularly well. I mean, he only took 2 shots, but they didn't go in. We'll have to see what he looks like when he plays around 20 minutes a game, and then you can make a real determination on if he's part of this team, it has value or not. Josh Richardson, 25 minutes, 4 of 12 from the floor, 2 of 6 from three, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 10 points, and a steal and a block. Also, fine game from Richardson, who continues to be consistently good. Um, Not, I wouldn't say a difference maker, but solid player, always plays solid. No complaints about Josh Richardson. Romeo Langford, 18 minutes, 4 of 7 from the floor, 1 of 3 from three, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, a rebound, an assist, and 11 points. Again, solid. Didn't impact much either way, but not bad by any stretch. Really, the game came down to the fact that Brown and Tatum shot so poorly, and that's more on Tatum. Brown at least finished with 21 points, Tatum only 12 points. And when you have guys who have good handles and are big and strong and athletic like Tatum and Brown, and their shots aren't going in, there's zero excuse to not be putting the ball on the floor trying to attack the basket more. And the Celtics have not done that nearly enough this season. And that's a big reason why I think people are very frustrated with the Tatum and Brown pairing. And tonight that reared its ugly head, and the Celtics lose 111 to 102. So that's what happened in the game tonight. Let's see what Leonard has to say before I quickly talk about the trade that happened yesterday. Leonard saying, "What's insane is that the Celtics, as a 10 seed, are 6.5 games back of the 1 seed, while the Blazers, as a 10 seed, are 16.5 games back of the 1 seed." Not trying to say get your hopes up or anything. I'm just saying this team is mediocre. Totally true. The West has obviously gotten out to the top teams in the West. The Suns and the Warriors have gotten out to just a torrid start. So that doesn't shock me that the equivalent of the Celtics in the Western Conference are further back. The West is very top heavy. I think the East is the better conference overall. Um, but yeah, the West, the top two teams certainly in the West have been very, very impressive. As have I think Memphis is in third right now, and they've been very impressive too. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It certainly doesn't indicate that the Celtics, are any good. It just I think it speaks to the depth of the East more than anything, which makes it all the much harder for the Celtics to get back to being a contending team because there's a lot of strong teams in the Eastern Conference. And you see a young team like the Hornets who are only going to get better. So that's a team that you're going to have to compete with um, going forward. So it's not going to get easier. You'd expect the Hawks aren't going to be down for that long. They're young. I think they'll improve too. We saw them make a deep run in the playoffs last year. So the Celtics can't just bide their time and hope that the top of the teams get old and stuff. The top teams aren't old either. I mean, Brooklyn kind of is, but I don't see Kevin Durant slowing down anytime soon. And Milwaukee, Giannis is still, I think he's just a year or two older than Jason Tatum. He's not going anywhere. So it's going to be tough sledding for the Celtics. That's why it's so important that they make the right moves. And yesterday they made a move trading Juan Hernangomez, who has barely played here, so I have no problem with that. They traded him for Bull, my fellow Oregon Duck, and PJ Dozier. And then Bryn Forbes got shifted from San Antonio to Denver. And that was the three-way trade. So again, no problem with trading Hernan Gomez. They don't play him. He hasn't shown anything. Bull and PJ Dozier are both injured. Dozier's out for the year. Bull probably out for the year. He is getting foot surgery. It seems like more likely that he's going to not play than he does. So essentially, the Celtics traded for two injured guys, and the purpose of the trade was purely to get below the luxury tax line, which they're not quite below yet, but they're just a minor move away from getting below the luxury tax. And this move was all financially driven because the Celtics ownership sees this team as what they are, which is not a good team that has no chance of competing. And they are, as I've talked about in this show and a lot more on the Pick and Roll show with John Sapichetti, the owners have become cheap. Unfortunately, I think the pandemic affected their bottom line significantly, and so they're penny pinching. And that's why you see Brad Stevens not get fired, but instead elevated to the GM role because they didn't want to have to eat Brad Stevens' salary and then pay an additional salary on top of that. Um, that's just one kind of glaring example of I think the financial thought process of this team. And so when you have ownership that's making trades with purely financial interests in mind, not interested in making the team any better, that's certainly a warning sign and not a good sign for fans. I don't blame them for not wanting to pay the luxury tax. No one wants to spend money, if they don't have to, certainly. But I think that if you're going to own a major market team, as the Boston Celtics are, with a very passionate fan base, as the Celtics have, and they sell out most of their games, and people spend their hard-earned money to buy jerseys and tickets, and whatever else comes with being a fan of the Celtics, I do think you have a legitimate obligation to put as much money into the team as you possibly can. And that means paying the tax, and that means not avoiding it. And so I'm just so disappointed with this Celtics ownership. And this is just another example of it, because it just seems like their intention isn't to improve the team; it's to save themselves money. And I know everybody says it's a business, but you know the fans should be the top priority, not the business aspect of it. And the Celtics ownership has not indicated to me for a long time that they really or care about their fans, especially when you look at this three-way trade. I'm not saying Bryn Forbes is a huge difference maker, but he's an excellent three-point shooter. He's it's something the Celtics lack, and they certainly could have just dealt with San Antonio and acquired Bryn Forbes. And maybe you're not dropping below the tax line, but you're getting a player that can help you. Instead, the Celtics decided to go the cheap route and got two players that aren't going to play on this team. I'd be surprised if either one plays a minute on this team. Um, and you're just lowering your payroll. So disappointing. Not certainly not a trade that's going to move the needle in any sort of direction. And I know people are saying, well, you get a free look at Bull Bull. If I had to place a bet, I would bet that he never plays a game for the Celtics. So those are just my quick thoughts on it. I'm sure I'll talk about it a little more as I do, a more in-depth show with a pick and roll with Sap tomorrow. So make sure you take a look for that. But yeah, just my 2 cents on that. Celtics lose tonight. They get closer to dropping below the luxury tax line, which is good for the owners and bad for fans. And yeah, that's going to do it. Celtics next game. Let's check the schedule here. Their next game is against the Trailblazers on Friday as Portland comes to Boston. Damian Lillard will not be playing in that game as he is out for a while. But we will see the rest of the, as you pointed out, Leonard, 10th seeded Blazers in Boston. I will be back for the post game for that. I appreciate you all listening, and I'll talk to you later. See you, everybody.